Residents say the house feels like a prison. Situated on the outskirts of Algiers, it has 2 floors, no roof, piles of bedding and a teeming microcosm of at least 30 itinerant West Africans. The inhabitants come and go, people from Cameroon, Guinea, Niger. They conduct their love affairs, conflicts, business, card games, and look for work wherever they can find it. Their principal aim is to move further north, to Europe. But since neighboring Libya cracked down on migrants, using its beaches as a launchpad to Europe, passage through Algeria has become more complicated. Almost everyone we knew there is in Europe now, Josiane, a Cameroonian woman, said, looking at a picture of friends who have made it to Italy. In his flat on the western outskirts of Algiers, Luke, another Cameroonian, has been making space for another arrival. His girlfriend's cousin and 10-year-old son are expected that day. She has family in France. They made the journey last year, he said, graphic, sitting on the edge of a mattress holding his phone. A teenager is watching videos of demonstrations in Cameroon's Anglophone region. I came to take a boat, he said. It'll be better for me there in Europe. School is better. His father, who made it to Europe a year ago after several years in Algeria, paid for the boy's journey from Douala, Cameroon's largest city. He arrived on his own about 6 months ago and was supposed to take the Libyan route, but fighting in Sabreba has meant departures have been suspended. Luke sums up the situation: the older ones have gone, and young ones have arrived. Since they can't leave, they wait here. The Algerian authorities have been mounting a crackdown of their own, according to human rights groups, rounding up hundreds of migrants and deporting them. Human Rights Watch said on Monday that more than 3,000 had been expelled in the past 2 months, including pregnant women, newborn babies and unaccompanied children. There are around 100,000 African migrants in Algeria, according to unofficial estimates, most from Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso. At another location on the southern edge of the Algerian capital, mattresses are strewn along the pavements of a series of half-built apartment blocks. A group of young people from Conakry, the capital of Guinea, are dyeing their hair. I got here 3 months ago, said one. Every morning, dozens of boys like him wait by the side of the road for someone to offer them a day's work. I didn't know it would be difficult to find work in Algeria, said Muhammad, who gives his age as 17. Quick guide: war, economic rout, insecurity and climate change on Europe's southern and eastern rim have combined to send millions of people fleeing, some escaping conflict, others seeking better prospects. More than 1 million arrived in Europe in 2015 alone. The migration crisis was one of the EU's biggest ever tests. While Germany initially adopted an open-door policy, leaders have striven to come up with solutions to staunch the flow, mindful of the dramatic impact of mass immigration on domestic politics. The EU reached deals with Turkey and some North African countries to return migrants home, in return for development aid and other EU-funded programs. Italy has also worked hard with Libyan authorities to block the flow of migrants through the North African country. The number of migrants crossing the Mediterranean and entering southeastern Europe has fallen sharply this year. But the EU has been criticized for in effect bribing poor countries to do its border management, and for creating an ugly bottleneck in North Africa in which abuse of destitute people has been rife. Thank you for your feedback. Without any kind of community network, without even a few words of Arabic, these new migrants are in a precarious position. Mohammed and his friends sleep in the street. Are there any voluntary organizations that could help? One asked. Another wondered, do you know how I could get home? I'm tired. Kader, an Ivorian who has been in Algeria for 6 years, said there was a growing number of Guineans in Algiers. They don't know the country, and they react very badly the minute an Algerian is rude to them or insults them. It ends up in a fight, and people get hurt. The situation for women is equally precarious. In Oran, 250 miles 400 kilometers west of Algiers, Adamo, from Cameroon, is attending a hospital appointment with a young pregnant woman. She arrived here from Tamanrasset a few days ago, Adamo said. She's 5 months pregnant and hasn't seen a doctor since the beginning of her pregnancy. The young woman had been offered shelter by another migrant, sharing a small space with 3 others beneath a corrugated iron roof. It takes time for women to get to know the town, to learn how to move around, said Adamo, with a sigh. Those who have just got here are very vulnerable when they come up against those who have been here for longer. They try to scare them about what things are like in Algeria, so as to control them. A West African migrant and a 9-year-old child partly obscured at a house outside Algiers photograph Bachelormond in the town. The few volunteer organizations that work with migrant communities know they need to start from scratch with public awareness training. We were working with 15 or so women, said one volunteer activist, who asked to remain anonymous, but they have all left. At the same time, organized groups of Nigerian migrants begging in Algeria's major cities has roused public feeling. Students organized a solidarity meal during Ramadan, and a popular singer, Sadiq Bouzanu, recently released a video calling for tolerance. In July, Algeria announced plans to grant residency and employment rights to illegal African migrants amid a shortage of workers in farming and construction, following an online campaign that revealed a surge in racist sentiment across the country. But these limited initiatives have little impact on the daily lives of the migrant communities. And for the past few weeks, the wave of arrests and expulsions of sub-Saharan migrants from the Algerian capital has strained the atmosphere further. "I know one migrant who was arrested in the bus on his way to work in the morning," said Amara, a Liberian living in Algeria for 2 years. "My neighbor was arrested as she was leaving hospital with her newborn baby. I'm afraid of these arrests. I tell my wife not to go out. I chose Algeria so as to be able to work," Amara continued. "Here, my labor pays me more than I could make in my own country. So I grit my teeth, and I wait until this is over." Zara Chenaoui works for the French daily Le Monde. This article is part of a series by Politiken, Le Monde, El País, La Stampa, Der Spiegel and The Guardian. Editing changes were made post-publication to protect subjects.